Hi there. So it's book retrospective hour. Well, it's not going to last for an hour, but this is just to bring us back. It's like throwback book hour. I started off publishing this book. So it's called Crossing Sex and Gender in Latin America, and you can see my name there. You can see this image which comes from Paz Erra Paz Errázuriz' work, which is called La Manzana de Adán, which is a set of photographs that she took of Chilean colas and locas and travestis back in the times of the dictatorship. And why is that relevant? Because I have a chapter that's on chronicled versions of such people's experiences and lives during that period in Chile, as narrated by Pedro Lemebel. So I'm not so sure how many of you know the work Pedro Lemebel, but I dealt with some of his crónicas and also his novela Tengo Miedo Torero some 15 years ago. And this book has probably been surpassed since then. There's been a lot of very good books that have come out and have kind of served as updates and rethinkings. But for me, this was a key book in my life, and it was based on my PhD. It deals with the work of everyone from Renato Arenas, the Cuban gay exile poet and novelist and short story writer. It also looks at a few films from Latin America that depict gender crossing and trans subjectivity, or maybe fall short of doing that. It examines two novels, one by Pedro Juan Gutierrez, the Cuban writer, that is to say, El Rey de La Habana, the King of Havana, and Mario Belettin's Salón de Belleza, which is a fantastic little short novel. Then subsequently it looks at the novel by Luis Zapata, La Hermana Secreta de Angélica María, and Mayra Santos Febres' Sirena Selena Vestida de Pena. So together with those texts, we also end up with the work of Pedro Lemebel. This came out in 2010. If you want to order it, find a free version online. I don't get the royalties anymore, and it's very expensive. I hope how great I'm looking at this. Then we have a couple of texts. This one, which is edited by Tristan T. Cotton. Now, it's called Transgender Migrations, and subtitled The Bodies, Borders and Politics of Transition. My contribution, likewise, is from the other side of the border. That is, this says New Directions in American History, but I actually deal with borderlands, northern Mexico, in an article called Forging Moral Geographies, Law, Sexual Minorities, and Internal Tensions in Northern Mexican Border Towns. So you can catch this as well and have a bit of a read on how I look at moral geographies and the work that they do, socially and legally, for trans people in the city of Tecate, which is not that far from Tijuana, Baja California. Now, there's many others that I could probably point out, but this was a pretty good issue that was co-edited by Dan Irving and myself of Transgender Studies Quarterly, that came out in 2017. Oh, Transgender Migrations came out in 2011 or 2012. And it's called Trans Political Economy. So we co-wrote the introduction, which was also introduced as a general introduction by Paisley Cora and Susan Stryker. And the co-written introduction, which sets the setting and gives the background for the articles that contributors sent. It's called Strange Alchemies, the Transmutations of Power and Political Economy. And I give a kind of decolonial reading to Dan's also very thorough examination. But one of the really interesting things is we also had a round table called Trans-Political Economy Deconstructed. So there's quite a few resources in there, and there's great articles by Emmanuel David, Lars Z. Mackenzie, Big Kaminga, who I believe published a book after this, Ben Hegarty, and Anne Ballet, as well as Nilis Rev and Fiona Mead Geist. So this was something we were quite proud of. I don't know if many people have actually accessed it though. Certainly Transgender Marxism is a book that came up subsequently, which makes a huge contribution and goes places that we didn't. I think that Peter Liu has critiqued Dan and my kind of approach in that introduction, which is fair enough. But that's by no means up to date, but it's a short sort of foray historically in some of those publications that I was involved in.